To start with Khadija first, because Khadija was the first wife Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. Khadija was married twice before the Prophet. She was 40 years old. She was widowed twice. She had children. At that time, the Prophet was 25 years old. That was before prophecy. When she saw him, she fell in love with his mannerism, his character, his honesty. She told him how she felt about him, that she wanted to marry him. He was surprised at first because he was thinking Khadija is a woman who is well known from a family known, and he was a shepherd. He was not rich or from a family who is rich. So he couldn't believe that Khadija would choose him. But he accepted. They were married for 25 years. Them two alone. They had 6 kids together. They lived a very happy marriage. And she passed away. Now when she passed away, he got married again. Now the question that keeps coming is Aisha. How old was she? Aisha was young. And this story happens 1,400 years ago. 1,456 years ago to be exact. At that time, that's the way they get married. They marry kids like young kids, because it wasn't about the age. It was more about culture and maturity. Not numbers and age standards like today in the modern society. But marriage then, the parents will agree. both sides, and then they get married. So it was nothing forced between them two. It was happening at that time. It was allowed. And it wasn't only the prophet who was doing that. It was how they were living. That was their lifestyle. But we also have to understand this. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was human. He wasn't God. He was human, but he was a prophet, which means most of the things he does is because Allah allows it. That's what prophet is. Prophet is different than regular people. Allah will allow it, or they will check with Allah first before they do, or Allah will say do. So it's about God. They don't just do to do, they do because God allows it. And I personally have no problem with it because it was allowed at that time. And for everything we know, Aisha loved her husband and her husband loved her. Their marriage is actually one of those relationships Muslims often mention when talking about love, respect, care between husband and wife. And if I tell you she was so intelligent, believe that she was so intelligent. She knew what she wanted. She knew what to do and not to do. She had a voice. She wasn't those young lady that you force. No, she wasn't like that. She became a great scholar. She taught many people about their religion, men and women. So when I look at their story, I don't see anything bad. I see good in it. Because it was allowed at that time. We're talking about the 7th centuries. Now, instead of staying stuck on something that happened 1,000 years ago, I prefer to look at what's happening today in our century, 21st. Today, we are in the world where right now there is a 10-year-old somewhere suffering in silence because someone is hurting her and threatening her not to speak. There is also a 50-year-old woman with family who still carries pain from something that happened to her when she was 5 years old. These are the people I want to focus on. These are the ones we need to take a look into. See what we can do to help them. Pray for them to heal. You know, my life, the ones I do, the life I do here on TikTok, they are about reminding people of God, the oneness of God, and encourage them to pray to Him and support each other so we can heal and stop the pain. I said, I am not a preacher. I am not a pastor. I'm not a pastor, I'm sorry. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a scholar. I'm simply a woman sharing what she believes is the truth. And I'm sharing it to you because I want you to reflect with what I'm saying. I would love to hear what you have to say so I can learn from you.